up? What up? What up? Good morning. Welcome to the show. We're back. It's been a little while. Been a minute. Got my man Ani here. What up, Ani?
That's good. We back in it. Had a hiatus, a little break. Took our Christmas break just like the kids did, and now we back at it.
Right. Hold on. Let me take this one off. I think they may be doing something. Okay, cool. So, let's get to it. We haven't been here in a while. We're back at it. Inside High School Hoops. We got our first comment. What up, boys? What up, Coach? How you doing, man? Appreciate you tuning in. Yeah. So, Ani, we've missed a lot. We've a lot of stuff's going on since we've been away. So we'll let you kind of fill us in real quick on what's been going on in high school hoops on the inside. I got to represent. Got my Dallas Foreverland shirt on today. Representing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, well, there's a lot to catch up on, but I want to talk about, I know Ronnie Flores that does the national rankings. He put out his top 50 teams in the country updated. And then you have Duncanville at 14. Waxahachie entered. They're at 39. And then Casita, they jumped 4 spots. So they're at 27. They're originally at 31. So, Texas teams are moving up. They're really proving their worth and doing a good job. I mean, that's 3 teams in the top 50 in the country. So
is this the first one of these rankings, Ani, or is this the second one, or is it just updated?
I think it's the second or third edition. Ronnie actually texted me after Waxahachie beat Duncanville, which we'll talk a little bit about that. And he was just like, wow, he really follows the teams in the country all year. So we always text him back and forth about, results and this, that, and the third. So it's just, I think it's his third installment, but he does his research and does his work, does a really good job. So it's good to see teams kind of going in there. Then you have Richardson like outside of the bubble. I believe iSchool's outside there. So Legacy. So you got teams that are right outside on that. And, you're talking about 3 quality teams. And we have a lot of really good teams in the state. Dallas Carter's only lost 1 game this season. So you got a lot of really, really quality teams in the state. And so
Duncanville looking like the best team in the state. Casita looking like second best according to these rankings, and then Waxahachie looking like third. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what you're hearing.
And how does that match up to the people inside the state? Are they saying the same things? Is that what the experts are saying?
Well, I don't know. Inside the state is a little different, right? And people have legitimate cases, right? So Duncanville, obviously, to me, is number 1. I know they lost to Waxahachie in OT, and but their resume is just so strong. Just the teams that have beaten throughout the season. Now Waxahachie has made a case for being number 2. I think Waxahachie is the second best team in the state. Then you go with Casita. Now, Legacy School Sports Science really needs their credit, where credit is due. They beat the Southern Assault Squad that had Harrison Ingram and Colin Smith. They beat Lancaster. After the loss to Duncanville and the loss to Sunrise, they've been in a situation where they've been winning. They beat Taco Storm too. I mean, we're just whatever. Right. Got talent. So, they are a really good team. And then you talk about Richardson with Case and Wallace and Rylan Griffin, who've been really performing. I think they've only lost 1 game throughout the season. St. Mark's they've lost 1 game in the season. So you got really, really quality teams. And along the line, and my top 3, you're talking Duncanville, Waxahachie. I'm gonna go Legacy. I'm gonna go with Casita.
Wow! So you flipped. You guys Casita 4. I don't think Coach would be too happy about that. But I order people.
And I love the coach.
One of the best.
And they're undefeated. But honestly, the beauty of it, you can make a case for either or. You can make a case for either or. So that to me is where it would be. And then you got the iSchool, John Paul II. I forgot to mention them. They had a big win against iSchool and Fox Sports, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But you just got real quality teams. I think when you do a top 10, I think outside of like 2, once you get past 2, to me, it's a toss up from 3 to 3.
So you think the top tier, kind of like in college basketball right now, we have Gonzaga and Baylor. It feels like they're at the top 2, and then there's kind of the next tier. Is it similar to that right now? You thinking?
Yeah, I think it's similar to that. Like you said about tiers, I think you got you got your tiers, and one tier's kind of really extended themselves above the rest, and then not like completely, but just enough where there is that gap, and then you got everybody. You got it. Your second, third, fourth tiers, but your fourth and fifth tier can beat your one tier at any night.
Right. And that's kind of like college basketball. I mean, anybody can beat anybody on any given night, especially when you're throwing the ball up and getting competitive. In Texas high school, it doesn't mean just because you're not number one now that you won't be number one when it's all said and done. So I think there's a lot of depth and talent, and we always know that. So just case in point with Duncanville being rated number one, and then Waxahachie goes and beats them. So we'll talk about that game, of course. We got another comment from Stacy Houston. Good morning, fellas. Welcome back. Stacy, great to be back. Yeah, great to be back. So looking forward to another good show. We got some guests. We have Brandon Jenkins coming on from 247 Sports with his new move, and he'll talk a lot about what he does there. And then we'll also have Marcus Sloan's back. The P. Diddy of grassroots basketball is back, and he's going to talk about.
I'm gonna be I'll be real disappointed. I said this the first time. I'll be real disappointed if Sloan does not come in with some Gucci shoes or Versace shirt or something. He got to rock something just a little outlier, a little out there.
He was real relaxed last time. We'll see what he's got this time.
You can't. He got to show real Marcus Sloan.
No doubt. He can't. We need the stage, the front stage, Marcus Sloan.
Right.
So we'll see what he has for us. He'll be on in about 15 minutes or so. So we'll let Ani kind of get going and just talk and recap. We got so many different. But let's talk game one to start. You talked about Duncanville. Actually had the matchup. You talked about John Paul and them playing on Fox. Talk a little bit about some of the headline news, and then we'll move to some of the other things before Sloan jumps on.
Right. So I think again, you talked about those two games, Waxahachie, Duncanville. That was the matchup everybody's been waiting for all season, in my opinion. When you talk about two teams in the 6A division that, have a real legit chance of winning a state title, and then for it to go down the wire, and then OT, and then Montrez Young hitting the three-pointer. That's a 2021 kid. And he's not a kid that really shoots jump shots, so it's fairly it's interesting that, a game winner from Montrez Young hitting the three-pointer, but he's a real big piece for Waxahachie. CJ Nolan, Oklahoma signee, has been huge all season. I mean, he's just such a bully. He's been such a bully. And then for Duncanville, Ronald Holland, 2023 kid, just really ascending up in the national polls and the rankings. And then Zerk Phelps was solid. Damon Nicholas, Sam Houston State signee. You want to say steal because people say steal, and I would agree. He could play at a higher level, like as far as just like a maybe more of a mid plus the high type scenario. But he's going to a really good school in Sam Houston. He's going to be a really good player from day one. So, Damon Nicholas has been really, really good. Juan Reyna, Alabama State signee, he's really been hitting shots, and he's looking really good. And defensively has really held his own, and in some games more than held his own. Just real active and plays with a lot of effort on that end. Jalen Lake, Colorado State signee for Waxahachie, has been really good too, showing mid-range game, just playing with poise. So that was a really good matchup, and Waxahachie pulled out, and that's definitely not going to be the first matchup, and I think we may see a third down the road when playoffs come. On Fox Sports, you had a headliner in Dickies Arena, so you had iSchool and John Paul II, and then you had Coronado and Yipsy Prep. So I'm going to probably talk more about the iSchool and John Paul II game. So John Paul II got into a 20-point lead early on, kind of smacked iSchool in the mouth early. Jalen Tyson was on a roll. I think he had 20 first half points, something like that, 17 or 20 first half points. Was just on a roll. Texas Tech signee, he's just really scoring mid-range game on all three levels, really using his size. He's going to be real good with Coach Beard. Especially in that motion offense, I can see him really thriving there. Just his overall scoring capabilities and defensively, he really does compete on that end. I liked how him and Keontae competed on the defensive end, especially Keontae in the second half. They were really guarding each other and taking the task to really tried to just contain each other as much as possible. Manny Obaseki for John Paul II, Texas A&M signee, was really good as well. And just to note before I keep going on players, because that's generally where I like to go is just the players. John Paul II did end up winning in overtime. High school made a run, a real deep run the second half, and Keontae actually had a chance to win win it at the buzzer off of missed three. So it was a really, really entertaining game. I would say it was the game of the night for sure. 22 points. Jalen Tyson had 22 points in the first half, and unfortunately he fouled out in the second half. So it was it was just a hell of a matchup. And again, when we talk about Keontae George, a 2022 player, had 37 points. He really was on the tear in the second half, really getting into the basket and finishing. He's someone that can really hit shots on the perimeter, but you can tell Keontae was like, hey, I need to get some easy looks inside. We got to get a groove. We got to get aggressive. I think him being aggressive inside kind of led to his team defensively started playing more physical too. And that was big. 22. So I was back on let me go back to Manny Obaseki on John Paul II, Texas A&M signee. Was real solid when Jalen Tyson got hurt. I mean, we fouled out. He stepped up offensively, not known as really a shooter, but someone that really gets to the basket, finish, was making free throws, was defending. He was just being a leader. That was one thing out of Manny that I wanted to see was, can he carry you offensively when needed? And he did show that at that game. And that's something that, if shown consistently, will really take him a long way to the next level and wherever, and then, he can go beyond that as well. So for iSchool, I thought I'd like to play a Trey Clayton, 2022, just really on the glass, playing hard, defending, giving his team second, third chance opportunities. So Trey Clayton, just junkyard dog. And then 2023, Matt Reed was really solid for iSchool. He hit, I think, 2 threes, or he hit a 3. He was a clutch 3 to dwindle the lead from 5 to 2. And he was just using his size. He was being physical. And he's a 2023 kid that just continued to get better. He's lost a lot of weight from last year. Matt probably lost every bit of 40 to 50 pounds since last year. And I don't think I'm being over dramatic when I say that. So he's been really, really solid. I think for John Paul II, what makes them so deadly, especially, obviously having 2 kids that are in the top 30 in the country. You also have Cameron Corhan, 2022, who's I was supposed to talk about stock risers. He's a huge stock riser right now. About 6'9", has good length, probably, has a plus wingspan. He's blocking shots more. He's altering shots more, just being aggressive as an interior defender. He's making threes. He hit 2 clutch threes down the stretch. He's finishing inside. He's really, 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 came a long way. He had to label us off. And one thing about bigs, I think we have to remember it takes a while for them to develop. And we're not going to see the real Cameron Corhan until probably his freshman year in college. And that's really scary. I mean, he's coming along, but he's only going to get better. And he has a whole lot of room for growth. So bigs, especially, we kind of get a little impatient with them, and there's no need. They grew real fast. Some of these bigs have grown 6-7 inches within a 90-day span, like not 90, but like through a year and a half. And they're struggling to walk into bubblegum. But now when they get their coordination right, when they really get into their body, you start to really see what they are. So Cameron Corhan has been really, really good. A couple other notes. I was going to talk about Mount Pleasant. They're 16-0. We got to really, really talk a little bit more about them. I know they're out in Mount Pleasant, Texas. People don't really go out there and see them, but I do think there's someone that you got to see. Peyton Chisholm, 2023, has been really good. Hitting shots from the perimeter, really being a steady primary guard for Mount Pleasant. And then you got a 2021, Zay Chisholm, his cousin, lefty, has grown a little bit, about 6'3" now. He's an athletic, kind of a slashing type wing that's really – he's usually first or second in scoring for them. And then they got a couple other pieces that just really hold their own. But Mount Pleasant, they hit a game. They just won a close one against Sulphur Springs last night. I think we really got to take a look at Mount Pleasant as a team that, you see in San Antonio. I think they have a real legit chance of getting into the Final Four in San Antonio this year. So that's just a couple of headlines. iSchool, they've been looking prior to the John Paul II game, they've been out and they've been playing fairly well. Yeah, they got smacked by Mom Birthday. But who hasn't gotten smacked by Mom Birthday? But really good play all around. Just from high school, Brian has done a really good job with this program. And the guys are competing, and they're really showing the value. And some guys have really helped with their recruitment by the way they've been playing. So just a couple things there.
Yeah, before we bring great stuff there, we got a couple comments, and we'll get into stock risers real quick before we bring on our first guest. We got a couple comments. Stacey Houston says the JT from John Paul III reminds him of Jared Culver coming out of high school, both going to Texas Tech, coming in that mold. I like that comparison right there, Stacey. And then he talked about Trey and Matt Reed balled out. The coach is doing a good job with that team. And then he said that I think he was referring to the other gentleman you said on the team, Cameron, that also played.
Oh, Cameron. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's talk about the stock risers. We talked a little bit about that before the show started. Who are some of the guys that are really helping themselves as far as their stock, whether it's underclassmen or unsigned guys across the state?
So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about Dallas. I know we have Sloan on, so I'll let him really hit hard in Houston.
Right.
So I talked about Cameron Corhan. He's been really, really well. Putting my coach's hat on right now.
I like it.
My guy, Top Storm Robert Jennings, has been really, really good. He's been a huge stock riser. Getting a lot of calls from him. High major calls. He's just a kid that's really developed offensively. It was more of a kind of a lob threat, could kind of be a little bit of a face-up guy, but now he's really just honed in on his skill set. So Robert Jennings has been really, really good for me, and just overall just really showing a game that translates. For Faith family, then TJ Caldwell, 2022. He's like a sleeper in that class. Free just plays above the rim effortlessly. Skill set has come a long way. He's able to drive left and right now, and being able just to finish his jumpers. Still got to make some strides. Is not there yet, but it can definitely be manufactured. But the physical tools and just the overall ability he has, I think TJ Caldwell sleeper. We could be looking at 6-7 months from now of him being, a top 100 player in the country. I mean, he has that ability. Hopefully, we get a live period and coaches come out and all those along the lines of that. But I mean, he's someone that really, to me, it's been a radar. Three guys that I feel that, just kind of under the radar there. In 2021, I really like Marcus Rigsby from Irvin MacArthur. I think the situation that we're in right now in the climate, I think he's a kid that would get a whole lot of calls, would probably get a whole lot of committable offers. And he's just a wing that can really score it, especially in that mid-range game area. And he has good positional size. So want to really talk about him. Darian Scott for Dallas Carter. Want to give Carter some love. Was talking to coach. I haven't just been seeing box scores and kind of just going back, but he's been playing really, really well. He's a big fella, 2021, that just been playing well, using his size, got a good right-left jump hook, mobile, is getting a lot done. I want to talk about a Sock. They have the kid, I think the last name is Johnson. I'm sorry, I'd rather not completely botch it, botch the name, but I know last name is Johnson. Been playing really well. I think he's averaging 26 points a game. Definitely a stock riser. He's physical. He plays with a mean streak. Got to see him. He just gets a lot done. He's a kid that, isn't worried about having to shoot threes because he wants to show he's this type of player. He's saying, okay, you're going to give me the 3 ball. I'm going to shoot the 3. If I had the size mismatch, I'm going to use my size. And he's been playing really well. I mean, he's a kid you have to really game plan. And teams have been game planning. He's still able to get his offensive production. So that's really impressive, especially when you talk about in January, these kids that are getting game plan heavily, like you're in the top of the list on the board on game plans, and you're still able to produce efficiently. I mean, that shows a lot. So those are a couple stock rises for me. There's a lot of kids that really been improving, but TJ Caldwell, Marcus Rigsby, Johnson out of Sock, and and Cameron Forehand and Robert Jennings, to me, just really have been standing out.
Yeah, speaking of standing out, we got the PD of grassroots basketball coming in just a second. Mr. Marcus. They had an event as well, one of the bigger events. I don't know if you talked about the Duncanville Waxahachie game just yet, or if you wanted to jump into that, but we'll cover that here in just a second. But I did get a chance to watch the game on Fox 2 as well, and just credits again to Texas for being able to put on such a big game, big-time game. It looked like it was a blowout for a while. It was a blowout for a little while, but then a comeback, Keontae George led the comeback and made it an overtime game and really had a chance to win it. So just, again, goes to show we all continue to see and talk about, and we'll talk about later in the show with Jenkins, Brandon Jenkins, about the players in college from high school that are playing really well. But you can already see Texas is still competing to be we can say it's a basketball state. It may not be just a basketball state, but it's definitely a basketball state with all that's going on, and putting that game on the national scene was definitely a big thing for the city of Dallas and the state of Texas. So shout out to both teams in that game for playing at such a high level and so many future college basketball players. Matt Reed was really impressive to me when they weren't playing very well. I thought he was one of the guys as a young fella that was keeping them in it, but definitely a great game on both sides, and all guys showed their ability to play not only at the high school level, but their upside for the next level. So without further ado, we are right on time, and we are going to bring in Marcus Sloan from Houston and talk about his event that he had in Dallas, and he has another event coming up. So round 2 with Marcus Sloan. Sloan, what up, homie? I'm not sure if we got you yet, Sloan. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Okay, now we're good. Now we got you. What's good, Sloan?
We good. Okay, perfect. What's going on, man? How y'all doing?
We're good. We got. Now Ani was talking about your shoe game. He said you may have the Ferragamos on or something. I don't know. He was talking all kind of fancy. I didn't even know what he was talking about.
Nah, man. I just got on some little Nikes today, man. I'm real casual. I had breakfast with the wife.
I told him you're casual the day.
Casual Nikes. That's cute. Yeah, I usually try to get fresh. So
I know, you will.
Guys, real quick, I'm going to try to log in from my phone. Better.
All right, go ahead.
You didn't do your phone last time. That's okay. So, yeah, while he's getting set up on the phone, we'll talk. Did you talk about the Duncanville Waxahachie game? Did you want to dive into that a little bit more?
No, I wasn't there, but then I got to watch the film. Okay. Guys, film. So when the game, so Duncanville really had it in control for the most part, and they had a 12-point lead going to the fourth quarter, and then they got into a situation where Waxahachie they went to a 1-3-1, so kind of mix it up into their defense, and a lot of guys were in foul trouble. So like CJ Dolan had 4 fouls. I think Zurich had 4 fouls. There's a couple. I mean, it was a lot of fouls were being called. So when so the offensive game wasn't as aggressive, at first. But then when Waxahachie went to that 1-3-1, and then they started, getting long shots, long rebounds. They were able to get into the fast break, and then CJ Nolan just took over. He was just so physical. I mean, and Duncanville got guys with really good size, but for CJ, just, they're basically bouncing off him, and CJ's getting in and scoring. Jalen Lake had a really good first half. I think he had 12 points in the first half. If I'm mistaken, it was like 10 or 12. But the game was good. It was a solid flow. I don't like to talk about referees, but a lot of fouls are being called. So, which for an evaluator, it just as a fan period, you're like, all right, man, I'm trying to kind of get into more of a flow. But it got really good. I mean, another dude gets ref, but it got really good. I think the fourth quarter is very entertaining. Overtime was very entertaining, and then you got a kid like I said, when the one person you would not think make the three, especially the game-winning three, knocks it down, and that's how you win. I mean, it was a great game overall. It was everything that you would have thought it would be between those two teams, and it was yeah, and it was stacked out there. It was a good fan. It was a good crowd. I'm ready for round two. I will definitely be there in person for round two.
And I think for those that don't know, the round two is because they're in the same district. Is that right? Is that what you're kind of alluding to?
Yeah, same district.
Same district matchup. A lot of Division I players on the floor. You got Oklahoma signee, Colorado State signee leading the way for Waxahachie, and then you got an SMU signee in Zurich Phelps, and you got a few other signees for Duncanville that kind of lead the way for them. So definitely high level matchup.
And I also want to talk. We talk stock risers, and Montrez Young has been a stock riser. I've had probably about 4 Division I coaches call me about him.
Right.
So he's been playing really, really well. Be interested to see kind of what the spring and summer comes, especially after the college season, and kind of what everything looks like from there. But he's a kid, he's available 2021, that's going to get a lot more calls as the months go by.
For those that don't know, Ani, which program is he with, and what's his story?
As far as summer?
No, just which program is he with? Which high school program does he play for?
Waxahachie.
Easy to get caught up. I just want to make sure they knew from the man himself. And Coach Gober, we talked about high level schools. High level coaches, high school coaches on the show before, and Coach Gober is as good as anyone in the state. He has definitely done an amazing job with Waxahachie since he's been there. Waxahachie was not necessarily known as a basketball place prior to his arrival, and since he's been there, there's been nothing but not only high-level players that come through, but a lot of winning. He's put them in a position where they're one of the best teams in the state year in and year out, and definitely one of the best teams in the Metroplex. So speaking of the best, we're going to bring Marcus Sloan back in, the best dressed P. Diddy. What we got?
I'm back, man. I had technical difficulties, but I'm here.
That's all right. Hey, we always find a way to make a win happen, one way or the other. So we'll get straight to it. You had an event in Dallas. I know much to do about that. So let's talk about that. You and Ani kind of tossed it back and forth, play tennis with your event, but I'll let you open it up.
Yeah, man. I had the OTR Exposure Holiday Showdown in Dallas a few days after Christmas. Like I always talk about, I love coming back to Dallas. The Metroplex has always shown me love. And I was an 18-year-old, obviously playing at TCU and living there for a couple of years after. So, big-time event. We had some really good teams. We had Ani's homeschool program. Some big-time guys. They added Austin Nunez, who had a big-time buzzer beater versus Woodlands Christian, the game against another Austin Bonini, who went crazy at 41.
Hold on. Slow down real quick. Austin Nunez, who added him? Where is he at now? Fill the people in now. Don't just say like everybody knows. Everybody don't know the deal.
So your esteemed co-host, Ani, brought in another gunner to his already stacked team. Austin Nunez out of San Antonio, 6'2", 6'3" combo guard, lefty, getting longer, and to Ani's group of Jennings and Third Keel, they were loaded. Then they even added Big Shaq. So adding Austin Nunez to that group kind of put them over the top. And so they had a classic game versus Woodlands Christian, where another junior, Austin Bonini, Woodlands Christian, he had 41. But Austin Nunez hit the game-winning three. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw it in the corner, man. 2 people hanging on him right by his bench to win it. So that was a thriller. We had Lancaster playing Legacy. Same day, we had John Paul playing Woodlands Christian the day before. So it was, we had dudes in there, man. Had Southern Assault playing. We had Crane Academy, all the guys they have. So it was, man, 2 days. It's funny, man. People think doing events are easy and running events are a piece of cake, but we had a venue change the day of the event. We had a team drop out the day of the event, so I had to get really creative with the matchups. But all the teams were so accommodating, and all the parents and fans and coaches were accommodating. So the event, again, it had a couple hitches, but it went off without a hitch. Like I said, great competition. The coaches had those kids ready, man. And we had big time players: Manny Obaseki, Jalen Tyson, Harrison Ingram, Colin Smith, Austin Nunez, Austin Benini.
Right.
We had all the kids at Legacy. So it was, again, man. And also, man, it was a kid at the school, Trinity Christian Cedar Hill.
DJ Burks.
He went crazy both days, man. He had like 39 one the first game, no threes. I think he backdoored with maybe like 29 or 30 the next day. So he was a kid who I hadn't seen before, who kind of burst onto the statewide scene. And he actually just got an offer from IUPUI yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. We read that same thing.
Yeah, he did.
So you mentioned Austin scoring 41. We'll talk about some of the other high performers. Where's Austin's recruitment at as a player? And then let's talk about some of the other people that just the teams that stood out, and then players that stood out. So we'll go Austin first, and then talk about kind of the teams and players.
So right now, Austin Benini, he has McNeese State offer. He has a Mount St. Mary's offer, and he also has an IUPUI offer. It's always difficult.
Morgan State, correct?
Say it again.
Morgan State, did they just offer him?
Yes, and
Morgan State.
Morgan State offered him directly after the event because of his performance at the event after the 41.
And I asked that because if a kid scores 41 at an event like yours,
right? Yeah,
against that level of competition, like you said, it shows a level of play that usually earns him and merits that he would get that kind of an offer. So, yeah.
And honestly, not to cut you off,
very good.
In a different, I guess, time as far as if it was like a non-COVID climate, I think Austin's recruitment, especially after that event, would have, kind of gone a little bit. I think more people would kind of be interested in it and asking questions. But again, given the situation where, you guys talked about it, some programs, especially at that lower level to mid-level, they can get their whole teams back, possibly.
Right.
They can even get a transfer from a high major who didn't play or who was unhappy coming down to the mid or the low level. So some of these schools who normally, like I said, in a situation like that would have been all over Austin, they're kind of waiting, being patient just to see because they literally could get their whole team back.
Right. Yeah, I think the high school recruitment for a lot of guys is so much different now than normal. The offers that you have don't necessarily indicate your level of play or the level that you can play at. In Austin, I got a chance to coach him and coach against him at the Lucas camp and talk about a young fella that can get busy. I mean, he got a chip on his shoulder. He's competitive as can be, and he definitely can figure out how to get that ball in the hole one way or the other. So I'm not surprised at all that he's doing what he's doing. And he's not going to let up. From what I got the feel of him from being with that camp, working with him, I got the feeling he's not going to let up at any point in time. He's going to keep his foot on the gas. So what's some of the other players that kind of stood out, both Ani and I'll let you kind of pick one, Ani, then you pick one, Sloan, and kind of go back and forth.
Another kid that stood out was obviously, Harrison Ingram. The first day, that was my first time seeing Harrison live, almost probably 2 years. And just to see his physical growth, to see how his body has changed, his dedication to getting his body right, and just seeing how cerebral he was as a player, his IQ and his feel. So it was unbelievable for Southern Assault. And again, you can see why he's, one of the top 15, 20 prospects in the country.
Absolutely. So I'm going to stick with the same team. I'm going to go with his teammate and Colin Smith, 2022. Just been really in that event and just overall that week, he was just really, really solid. You can even say good, really good. He just was handling the ball, had to handle some pressure. Him and Harrison kind of had to take more of the ball handling responsibilities, hitting shots, getting to his spots, moving without the ball really well, and rebounding. Just overall hustle and just effort. I was really liking from Colin. Colin, of course, because St. Mark's and Southern Saul, we haven't been able to really see much because, the SBC's rules and then the guys not really being able to play. But I have seen a lot of improvement just with Colin, especially just moving without the basketball and really impacting games without the ball being in his hands. I really was enjoying just his activity overall.
And you're gonna have to help me with the kid. You're a big kid. How do you say his full name?
Shakiru Odunewu.
Shakiru Odunewu. Yo, again, so he played with Universal Academy in one of my events in Houston around Thanksgiving, and he was okay. But in this event, he was physically dominating inside. I was wondering how athletic and how strong he could be in the paint. He was finishing everything at the rim with two-hand dunks. He was getting big-time offensive rebounds. He was a commanding presence in the paint. And honestly, he's a 2021. I didn't know he had many offers, because his social media presence isn't big. And then, like, that next 2 days after the event, he started posting all these offers. And I called Ani and I called Terrell Woody. Like, yo, like, where's this kid come from? These offers real? And they were like, yo, he's had these offers. He just been kind of sitting on them. And you can definitely tell why he's getting recruited the way he is. I mean, he is a big-time, like I said, physical presence inside. He has a mean streak. He crashes the offensive glass, and he's a load to deal with in the paint. So he definitely caught my eye.
Definitely. So I guess when we'll go team to team. I kind of like this. So I'm just going to stay on the same team. Want to talk about Thurkill, Jason Thurkill a little bit on that. Obviously, Austin Nunez was very, very impressive, and Robert Jennings was as well, and two kids that I touched on. Thurkill was very solid. I thought first game really struggled. Second game bounced back. I do like to see kids bounce back and have good showings. Rebounded, had some key blocks for me down the stretch, and just key defensive effort. Thurkill's a kid that can really get it going offensively. But I think when he really commits to rebounding and playing defense, like I saw, I don't think I win that game, especially going down that stretch, without his defensive and rebounding effort.
Right.
Just going back watching the film, I was just realizing like how many passes he deflected, how many block shots and rebounds, and that may just be more of a coaching thing. But I mean, and I'll say this: me coaching, and people don't realize this is my fourth year within the program. I guess I value things a little bit different. Sometimes the box score stats doesn't ever tell me a whole lot, and it allowed me to value more just little things like that. But I did think he was beating down the stretch.
Another kid, Create Academy guard Noah Shelby. It was my first time seeing Noah, obviously, this year, and the thing I took away watching him those 2 days is the poise he has. And now the command with the ball, using pick and rolls, making decisions as a playmaker. Before, he was kind of known for just being a catch-and-shoot type of kid, a catch-and-shoot guard. But in the event of 2 days from when I was watching, I was really impressed with his pace. I was really impressed with how he handled the ball against pressure. Didn't turn the ball over a lot going one-on-one against guys. And his feel has improved. Obviously, he can still knock down shots. He had a game winner, scoring 22 points the first day. But his feel, his IQ, and his ability to kind of control the game with his pace was big for Create Academy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go Create Academy. Lee Dort, I thought really was doing a good job, especially in the paint. Just a big physical post, 2022 big that, when he gets it 5 feet in, I mean, is an automatic bucket. And then I like how he's really crashing the offensive glass and finishing above the rim, with putback dunks and stuff. And defensively, just as an interior defender, just really altering and blocking shots. Lee Dort's just a kid that, has a real national name, has definitely deserved it. And I think he's a no-brainer, high major big man. I mean, he's going to be a productive big man at the high major level.
It was a game, the Legacy versus Lancaster game. Again, it was a game kind of fell in my lap in the event. I was very appreciative of Wade Taylor's dad kind of reaching out, but the matchup between Jonathan Massey and Wade Taylor IV was really good. Wade Taylor IV finished with, I think he scored either 30 or 33 points, but Massey had 28, but Legacy ended up winning the game. And again, that Legacy team since playing again. Like I said before, they had Murderers Row. In 1 week, they had Hill, Imani Bates, and then Sunrise Christians back to back to back, which is for anybody, man. That's a tough, daunting task. And so they kind of bounced back at this event, and next day at Buffdale against Southern Assault, they played well both games. But Jonathan Massey was huge versus Lancaster, 28 points, put his stamp on the game defensively, getting out transition, making big plays in the half court. And, Wade Taylor, the fourth was Wade Taylor. The A&M point guard, lead guard, played really well, finished with a game-high 30 points. And I really enjoyed watching that matchup.
Oh, yeah, same. I thought that was a real back-and-forth affair, especially within those two. Massey's just a strong-built guard, really finishes around the basket, especially versus length. Defense. I mean, I like Massey just as an on-ball defender and just as a switchable defender too. Just can really get after it, really halt opposing guards from really getting the spots. Wade struggled a little bit at first. I thought, was kind of hunting for some inefficient shots. Got relaxed and just got going. He was a big reason they kind of made a run. Just as far as just hitting threes. When it gets like this, I mean, Wade's such a blur. He's so tough to guard. One thing I do like about Wade is just his overall just mental toughness in a game like that, where I think Legacy was up by 15, 16 points at one point.
Yep.
And how Legacy does. I mean, when Legacy gets up by double digits, it just suffocates. All of a sudden they're up by 25, 30. But for him just to make that run, just like, hey, look, I'm putting my team on my back and we're going to score the bat. I'm a scorer. I'm going to play defense. I'm going to facilitate. I'm going to encourage guys to make shots. I mean, that's huge. That's big time leadership right there.
And one other kid I wanted to mention in that same game, the kid Brian Miles, 6'7" post player going to Prairie View A&M. He scored 18 points in 19 minutes in that game. He was super efficient.
Wow.
Yeah, he has a crazy motor, man. He's not the most athletic big, but he makes up for it with his motor. Energy. His motor always runs high, and he was very, very effective coming off the bench in that game and giving him a big-time spark off the bench for Legacy.
Yeah. Brian's someone that grew on me. So when I saw him, I always liked Brian's game. I just didn't know exactly what level. But he's a kid that, like you said, 18 points in 19 minutes. I mean, that's something he provides, and it may not always be in the scoring department. He's a kid that can play 15 minutes, give you 10 rebounds, but he's super productive, and that can't go unnoticed. And I just like what he brings to the table for a Legacy, because he's a kid you don't got to draw a play for. He's just a kid that's going to get his just through just his overall activity.
Correct. And last, you guys talked about the John Paul. They played Willis Christian the first day. Those three kids, man, at John Paul are unbelievable. Everyone talks about, obviously, and rightfully so, Manny Obaseki and Jalen Tyson are arguably one of the best backcourts in the country. They physically impose their will. They impose their will with skill. They impose their will with toughness. And in the event, they just showed why. Again, they were going against the Willis Christian, who's a very good private school team in the state.
Yeah.
But John Paul kind of showed that it's levels a little bit, and they showed that they are senior Latin, 5-star, dudes type of teams with those two in the backcourt. But the kid, you talked about him earlier, the Cam Corn kid. He, if we're talking about top 10 prospects in the state in that class in 2022, he has to be in the station. He was arguably the most impressive kid for me in the whole event, just with his explosiveness, how quick he got off the ground, how he rebounded the ball above the rim. He has a mean streak. The ball, he had a couple jumpers, and so he jumped out at me, obviously because of his athleticism, and he jumped out, also because of his skill. For him to in a game like where I hadn't seen him, I kind of heard whispers about him, but to dominate the game the way he did, in the fashion that he did, it caught me off guard and got my attention and got my antennas up. And just thinking about the other kids in that class, like I said, he is definitely in the conversation.
Right.
Well, what would you say? Go ahead, Ani.
No, I was just saying that's such a loaded class in Texas. And
man.
Cameron, I agree with you, Sloan. He's in the contention of being a top 10 prospect in the state of Texas. And he has so much. There's so much talent, even when you go from about 1 through about 15. And that's crazy. But I definitely think he's in contention to being top 10. He's been really impressive. Like I said, we talked about Biggs earlier. Man, we're seeing what he is now. Imagine what he's going to look like in June and July. You know what I mean? Because he works. I know he's a worker, great kid. He's going to get after it. He's not a kid that sees success and, you know, kind of gets in his head. He's just a kid that just works. I mean, he's just a very, very humble and good kid.
And, you know, we always joke. When I saw him, I was like, man, I wonder, is he going to be light-skinned today? You know, but he is. Sorry about that, B. Sorry, man. You know, y'all got to knock a little bit. Not all.
Bro, you know exactly what he right.
I'm saying though, we back though. We got Steph Curry with the shot. We back. Klay Thompson. You know what I mean?
B, you on a tougher light skin side. B.
I appreciate it.
I don't believe so.
Like you said, on the list, it's like you talk about guys like Zuby and Lee Dort and Vince, the other bigs. It's like you have to mention that kid now, just because of how he jumped on the scene. And even a year from now, like next January when we see him, next February when we see him, just to see the jump he'll make, it's very exciting. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's talk about you did a great job covering the event. I know you have another one coming up. We'll talk about that before you go. But let's talk about the city of Houston real quick. Just kind of catch us up on some of the happenings, whether it's matchup-wise, team-wise, who's played well, individual-wise, and I know Ani may chime in with that as well. But just let's talk about the city of Houston, what's going on there.
Well, right now in 6A, you have Atascocita High School, who is, you know, kind of quietly a little bit, maybe sneaking up on, like, this team is loaded with shooters. They're loaded with toughness. David Martinez has these kids playing out of their mind, man. They beat Shadow Creek in a big game at the Fertitta Center, and, like, they are blowing district games out that I thought preseason would be even closer. He has these guys primed for a deep run to San Antonio. They're a senior, you know, older team with 5 or 6 seniors. They have some juniors that are playing well for them coming off the bench. This Atascocita team, they could run the table all the way to San Antonio, honestly. And maybe seeing a team like Duncanville or Waxahachie in San Antonio. But as far as here in Houston, this region 3, Atascocita is arguably the new favorite. Also, too, in the 6A teams, kind of a little bit under the radar, Manville High School. They also have a bunch of seniors, 5 or 6 seniors that in their lineup playing really well, a couple of sophomores. They're 12-1. They won 12 games in a row. They got some good guards, Dyer Hayes, Zari Woods, Mason McBride. They have the big fella, McNeese signee, Sean Walker inside. They're, again, arguably one of the top 5 teams in our city. And then in 5A, man, Beaumont United. Terrence Arsenault of Beaumont United. Again, talking about that 22 class, he has a case of a top 6, top 7 in that class with the way he's playing. He's been unbelievable. 6'7" wing. He does it all for them. He's had games this year. He's had 28 points and 12 rebounds and 6 blocks. They've beaten 6A teams. They've beaten private school teams. They are a young team, too, sophomores and juniors, and they are going to, you know, make a run at a Lancaster, at a, you know, other 5A team in the state to try to get a state championship. They are a tough bunch, man. And just one last thing, a kid, Jordan Williams, the Second Baptist private school, he's kind of been cooking under the radar. They haven't had the toughest schedule, but he had 41 last night. He had other games of 38 and 37. Jordan Williams, the Second Baptist, a junior, strong physical guard, has been playing really well this year.
Yeah, so I want to touch on with Atascocita. And like I said, Dave Martinez has done a hell of a job with that group, and they are playing out of their mind. When I saw them at the Fertitta Center, it was it was. I was just really impressed, and just seeing how the kids just react to just the coaching, how hard the kids play, how active they are on defense. Like you said, kids that make shots, playing with a whole lot of confidence, and they're just a team that just scares me. I mean, from they're not a team that you're looking at one kid. Like obviously they have the La Tech signing with Caleb Stewart. They don't have one kid that's like, man, you got to hold them within 20 or blah, 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 right? Or under 20 or 15.
Yep.
Someone can step up at any night and produce.
You know, it reminds me of how Duncanville is. Obviously, not with as high profile of kids as Duncanville has, but the same formula. When you scout Duncanville, you're not sure who to key on, honestly. Zurich Stubbs can have 15, Ron Holland can have 11 one day. And then the next game, CJ Ford can have 19, Ron Holland can have 7. So it's like when you play Duncanville, that's what you're going into when you face them. And the same thing happens with Atascocita. You have guys like Tom Hart who can shoot the leather off the ball. Christian Ashby, another shooter. Yeah. You have Stewart, the La Tech signee. You have a kid, Collins, the 6'3" kid just committed to a JUCO.
Uh-huh.
They have so many weapons. Then you have guys off the bench come in. AJ Ongst, a 6-foot junior shooter coming off the bench. They got another kid, AJ, another junior. So it's like they have so many weapons and so many kids that can make shots for them, and they all take charges. They play for each other. They're unselfish, and they compete every single time out.
Absolutely. No, I just love watching Tuskegee play. I've only seen them play one time, and I loved it. I loved it. That's real, just a pure game of basketball. And like I said, in San Antonio, they're going to be tough. I mean, I wouldn't say shocked because obviously in the rankings, the national rankings, they were 27, like I was talking about earlier, the first hour. But I know it was, Duncanville, Waxahachie, and like you said, in Houston, I know that they're the favorites to make it out there. But I'm telling you, if they were the 6A state champions this year, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Those kids, like I said, they competing. I interviewed David Martinez after a game. Again, man, just to start the season off, they beat Hightower at home. So like they beat Hightower, they beat Charlotte Creek, beat C. King, they beat Summer Creek. All of the tests that they've seen early on, they have handled these tests. And honestly, I was shocked at the Shadow Creek game because I figured, some of those Shadow Creek kids have been on big stages. You got Ramon Walker, who's the number one player, 21 class in the city, and Sean Jones. But Atascocita, they weren't nervous, they weren't scared, they were ready for the moment, and they beat them. And so right now, they are the favorite in this region here in Houston to get to state.
And talking about Atascocita, they've always been one of the best teams in the city.
Yep.
Going back, we talked about this before on previous shows. Carson Edwards, that's his home. Big fella at Houston. Fabian White, who's not playing, I think, right now. But Houston, they were on the same team, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were one of the best teams in the nation that year.
They were.
They've always been a program that's had that kind of heat, and Coach Martinez learning under Coach Dyer back at DeSoto back in the day, one of his mentors. One of the best coaches again in the state. So not surprised at all. Anybody else that's not on the radar, that's not maybe getting talked about in the city of Houston, player-wise, team-wise, that just maybe want to show some love to that maybe doesn't get as much pub or as much ink?
Yeah, so Houston Christian. And it's funny because they just had a tough loss last night. But I always got to give a shout-out to Ron Crandall and Teddy Wheeler. They always do so much with the group they have. They never have elite size. A couple years ago, those kids were there, but they never have elite size, and they just go out and compete and win games. And I think this year they're 14-2. Literally, they just lost last night to Concordia Lutheran, but they were rolling. But just Houston Christian, man, and they have 3 senior guards: Noah Kahn, Elijah Bernstein, Kobe Haynes, who have been there, seems like 7 years. I call them the Chris Winkie crew. So they've been at Houston Christian for a long time, but those 3 kids stepped up and they've been playing really well all year.
Yeah, we're gonna bring in. We're gonna get a chance. We don't always get a chance to do this, but we're gonna bring in. Let me see, Ani, maybe. Ani, did you have something you want to chime in?
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about Houston Christian.
Please.
Haven't seen them play a couple times. Like Coach Crandall, and Teddy Willett have done a really good job with that group. Noah Kahn has really made strides as a point guard, in my opinion. Always been a tough, downhill, physical guard, but really shown better feel as a passer, leading his squad. I mean, that team, they're just tough. I mean, they're just a tough group, and I really like what Noah Kahn's been doing, especially just as a recruitable prospect. And Jordan Williams, he's a kid from Second Baptist I haven't seen since the summer. I was very intrigued with him in the summer. Athletic, got a good physical profile to him. Games came a long way. I know football was kind of his thing at first, and I know he committed to basketball. So I really like what I saw in the summer. So it's good to hear that he's really been putting up good box score stats, and his game just overall just been improving.
Yeah, and it's two sophomores who I need to mention really quick. One, Jacob Cole at Bel Air High School. He's had 5 straight games with 20-plus points. And Bel Air, again, another one-loss team in 6A. They are underrated. They made a deep run last year, surprised a lot of people before losing to the eventual regional champ, Dickinson. And also, to Jalen Lowe, Marlon Lowe's son, man. He's at Marshall High School. He has been cooking. He had 45 about a week ago. And then in the game against Hightower versus Bryce Griggs, I think he had 39 points. So he's kind of been on a real tear for Marshall. They're starting to pick up some wins. I need to get out and see them again. They're right around the corner from me. So I'm excited to go watch him. But those two young kids have been playing really well here in Houston.
Yeah, I would say 39 and 45. That's averaging 40-plus a game.
Oh, listen, man, Lil Lowe has been cooking with the good grease.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I believe he picked up a Texas State offer here recently too, right?
He has been rolling, man. I'm almost was remiss not mentioning him with the way he's been playing lately.
Right. We're going to do a little something for today. We're going to bring in our guests and collabo our guests and just talk about the state in general. So we got Brandon Jenkins from 247 Sports.
Oh, man, we got a national guy.
Yeah, we're going to let him jump in and talk a little bit, man. What up, B?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, man. Good. How about you?
I'm good, man. Just chilling.
Just chilling on it. So I'll lead this segue by saying you put an article out yesterday about University of Houston guard transferring to Florida State, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a good move for him, but also, we talk about this a lot on some of the other things that we have shows on, the college shows on All Access Network. But the beauty of this day and age with transfers is kids are going to do what they feel like is best for them, and as our programs, and it doesn't mean there's just necessarily any bad blood. Sometimes it's not a fit, or sometimes the timing of it. But he's a young man that probably wanted to have a significant role. Houston is rolling, and he hadn't even had a chance to really play yet. So that shows the credit of Coach Sampson and what they're doing in the program. So we'll talk a little bit about Houston basketball in general, and University of Texas, 2 collegiate teams. We'll talk about a few guys on those teams from Texas. So we talked about Atascocita. So we'll talk about Quentin Grimes from Houston. We'll let you, BJ, we'll let you talk about University of Texas, where you are still currently a student. So we'll just kind of tennis back and forth, talk a little bit about those 2 programs, and then we'll flip to a couple other collegiate programs that have prospects from the state, talking specifically about their prospects. So Sloan kind of lead the way with University of Houston, and then Jenkins will let you talk about UT.
Yeah, so with the U of A situation with Caleb Mills, man, he had a situation to where he was kind of nursing an injury, and then the whole COVID-19 having to sit out, and he's coming back, and Quentin Grimes rolling, averaging 17 points a game, shooting 32% from 3. You have the kid Marcus Sasser, other league guard, playing really well. And so, it was to a point where he was kind of like, in the corner, and maybe he felt like he was, the odd man out. But Quentin Grimes really kind of put on for the city. He has changed his game, and you can tell playing for Kelvin Sampson, he's increased his toughness. He's rebounding the ball at a high clip, 7 rebounds a game. His attention to detail defensively has improved, and he has improved his stock on NBA, NBA brass. And so, those Cougars, top 11 in the country right now.
Definitely, and they have just a bunch of rebounders as well, man. They're big men, just know how to get after it, and it just allows their guards to free up and do what they need to do. And Coach Sampson does a good job of letting his guards operate. So, been loving watching Houston. As far as the University of Texas, I think the biggest thing for them is that, the jump that their players have made in their games and the change of the culture and how they seem like, they're playing for something. They're playing with this huge chip on their shoulders. Shaka Smart grew out his hair, and then obviously it just changed the culture of different things. They've been playing really, really well. They've taken pride in defending with length. They're a very long team. They've also taken pride in rebounding the ball at a high level. But I think the thing that stands out to me the most is how fast their offense is, how fast they get to their stuff, and they're making open shots, which is something that they've drastically improved on from this year to last year. Matt Coleman's playing well. Andrew Jones is playing well. He had a great moment scoring the game winner against West Virginia. Courtney Ramey has played a balanced game. He's impacting the game in many ways. The freshman Greg Brown figures it out game by game. Kai Jones has made a drastic change in his game from last year to this year, becoming a raw rim runner to being not only just a raw rim runner who can block shots and rebound, but also can hit an open three from time to time. And then Jericho Sims is playing with the ultimate motor. So it's just a drastic change from last year to this year, players getting better, and you're seeing it in the win column for the Longhorns.
Hey,
Yeah.
Gotta ask Shaka what type of products he used for his hair. Just in case I grow mine out, I need to know how to get that luxurious shine he has on it, on his curls.
Is that gonna take away from your Diddy effect though? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Tell me, man, I can make it work. If anybody can make it.
I don't know. We might need to see if we can get some of our graphics team to come up with, see what that would look like. Sloan with the Shaka Smart hair. We might have to simulate that.
I need that.
And get some votes. Should he do it or should he not do it?
I already vote on yes.
I love it. Let's just talk about the state real quick in general. Like, what makes this state? You guys are both in situations where you are scouting the talent and helping college coaches understand the level of play that happens in the state, and even some of the guys that may not be rated as high. I mean, you talk about Marcus Sasser is now one of the better guards in the country in college basketball, and was not. We recruited him at UTEP. I think Colorado State was recruiting him really hard as well. SMU at one point, but then I think they may have taken someone else and really didn't have a ton of recruitment. And, another one of those guys is really showing the depth of quality in the state of Texas, because he wasn't a guy that people were screaming off the rooftops as far as being one of the highly rated guys. But there's so many players out there. Marcus Williams, who we talk about on our Mountain West show, out of Wyoming, who's one of the best freshmen, period, in the country. So we can keep going down the line as far as these guys that are not necessarily the most celebrated. There may be some guys we're leaving off this show right now that we haven't mentioned that are going to go on and play at a super high level. So just talk about the state in general, just kind of take turns, go back and forth for just what makes this state so well to recruit. And then how do you as evaluators look at, when the top of the pool is a potential NBA guy and a guy that's a 5-star, and then you have these guys that are maybe ranked 50 or 60 or even 70 that may have a tremendous college career. Just talk a little bit about that and from your perspective and your role.
So for me, I put a tweet out yesterday or the day before, just in the 2020 class alone in Houston, Reuben Jones, Kenneth Lofton Jr., Marcus Williams, Elijah Elliott, and Ramel Williams. I think I'm missing one more. And Justin Hill. Those are 6 guys that so far this season have all gotten Freshman of the Week in their conference this year. So I think the city of Houston, obviously the whole state of Texas, I think, people know this is a hotbed when it comes to talent. And you can see it across the state. Even the kid at Colorado State, Isaiah Stevens, he's a player of the year candidate. Quentin Grimes is a player of the year candidate. You have all these players from the state who are playing on national stage at the Division I and Division II level, playing so well right now. It just goes to show you that the depth of talent is crazy in Texas.
Yeah, backing off of what you said, you named the names: Kenneth Lofton, Isaiah Stevens, Marcus Sasser. Texas has always had has always had a platform where you can go and evaluate at least up to 50 to 60 Division I guys in a class. I think the thing that really stands out to me the most is out of that 50 to 60, you can bound to find somebody who will play after college. You're bound to find at least 10 people to play after college basketball from that 30 to 60 range, because you might find a diamond in the rough. I mean, it's just that deep. You even look at the Jordan Ivy Curry kid who's starting to figure it out at UTSA, you know? So my thing is, when we have our 5 stars, we have the Greg Browns and the Cade Cunninghams and stuff like that. You know, when you look at them, you see the talent is undeniable, and you see that they have the chance to play at the highest level. But when we go from that 10 to 50 range, 10 to 60 range, whatever you want to name it, because there's so much talent, the thing that I look at the most is just the fit within their program that they're going to. Marcus Williams chose the right school for him, and now he's getting it off, averaging nearly 20 points per game. I mean, Isaiah Stevens chose the right fit for him, and now he was Conference Player of the Week and probably the best point guard in the Mountain West. It might be the Player of the Year. I mean, it's just all about fit over level when it comes to that 10 to 60, because that talent, there's enough talent for them to get their games off to make it feel like, like these high majors missed out. But no, they chose the right fit for them to get the chance to play after college. So, you know, that just is a testament to the talent in Texas.
And even that Texas Titans team, when you think about it, man, Mike Miles, Greg Brown, Cade Cunningham, all 3 of those kids have been Big 12 Freshman of the Week already this season. You know, and then again, another Texas kid, even though he was, kind of implanted from New Orleans, but Avery Anderson had a big night versus Kansas last night for Oklahoma State. You know, even Isaac, at Oklahoma State. I mean, all these Texas kids are playing really, really well right now, and it's showing.
Right. So give us, before we let Sloan kind of get back to his P. Diddy life over there in Houston, give us one player in your evaluating game that you were on early and that you were spot on maybe before other people, and then give us one that you feel like you missed on maybe along the way that was like, that one got away from me. I let anybody can go first.
The first that I would say is Miller Kopp at Northwestern. I had a chance to coach him when I was with the Defenders that summer of 2017, and I was looking around the state, and a lot of people were saying different guys were, kind of ahead of him as far as in the state wing wise or even player wise. But I was screaming from the rooftop like, Miller Kopp is one of the better guards. Like better wings in the country. He reminded me of Matt Harpering. He used to play at Georgia Tech, played in the league for a long time, just with his toughness, with his shooting abilities, with the skill set. He was somebody I was in early on. The kid I probably say I was wrong about was Kenneth Lofton Jr. Although I got to see him at Peach Jam his last summer, but when he went to the hoops, I thought he was a great kid. I wasn't sure if the EYBL would be his speed because he's not a super athlete, but I was so wrong about him because he was extremely crafty. He could score on that block. He has unbelievable footwork, unbelievable hand, and he started right now as a freshman for La Tech in Conference USA. So I was definitely wrong about Junior Lofton.
Yeah, he kind of got that old school game, man. He got a throwback game below the rim, but so much feel, so much physicality, and he's skilled too. Somebody that my time in college coaching definitely recruited him, loved him back when he was a young fella, but even as he got older, and I was at UTEP and everywhere I've probably been, trying to keep an eye on him because I just thought he had it. Even though he was below the rim, he just had it. And we had to find those guys at the college level that everybody else, you don't have to have those battles with. He started to get some offers late, though. I think maybe Georgetown maybe jumped in.
He did. So after his Peach Jam performance, he got Georgetown and some other big schools, but he obviously picked the right level, picked the right school for him, man. And I always tell his dad, and I tell Coach Telvin Hester, man, one day, if he's there 3 or 4 years, he's going to have his jersey retired at La Tech because he's going to have a lot of records there for sure.
No doubt. He's got a real chance to do that. He's already off to a tremendous start and going to do great things now that they're in conference play. They're not going to want to see him for 4 years. He's going to be like the Isaiah Stevenses and the Sasters of the world. It's just like, man, this kid's still here. We're talking about great great 4-year guys that have a chance to really play at the next level too. But they'll be impact guys. They are impact guys from the moment they step on campus.
Right.
We'll let Jink go next, man. We'll let the rookie go next.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time, but I think the person I'll go with is Isaiah Stevens. In the 2019 class, I always was a big advocate of him, thinking that he was the best point guard in that class, and he's really showing it just from the stuff that he's been able to accomplish in the Mountain West Conference. He's shooting a high percentage from three. I think he's shooting around 45% from three. He's averaging around 15, 5 rebounds and 6 assists a game. So he's really separating himself from the pack in the Mountain West Conference and showing that he's the best point guard in that league. And then the person that I think I got wrong on, I think I'll go with Kendrick Davis. I definitely thought he was a top 10 kid in the state, but like right now he's playing like he's a top 2 kid in the state. I could have been higher on him. I didn't. One of the things that I missed on was like his ability to win. I kind of mistaked his attitude for a negative when it really should have been a positive. The kid just loves to win, and he'll do anything it takes to win. So I think I'm gonna go with Kendrick Davis on that.
Yeah, point guard. 2 point guards. I like it, Jenkins. Did you play point guard back in the day? Is that what it is? Is that the connection right there?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. They put me in the corner.
Spot up, catch
3-and-D guy.
I got you. What you got for us, Ani? What you got?
So the one I was right on was Tremont Mark. Early on, I was a huge fan of Tremont, and then especially in the year, so I went to the McDonald's Invitational, and out in Pasadena, and he made a cross court pass, coming off the pick and roll in the half court, just across his body to the open man in the corner. I was like, hold on. I was looking at that class. I couldn't find 2 or 3 people that could make that pass, period, in the state. And I said, this kid got a chance. And then, obviously he was known as a scorer, right? But I said, man, he has some really underrated passing abilities. And, at U of A this year is looking really good. I mean, I've been talking to coaches. I've been talking to guys in the staff and just some NBA guys. They don't think he's going to be there for 4 years. I mean, they think he got a real legit NBA chance. And that's kind of how I felt even early on. I thought he wasn't all the way there yet, but I really liked how he was getting, and just, talking to the kid and having conversations. I was like, okay, this kid got a chance. Cause even as a quiet kid, he's confident, and he like we said, he got some shit to him. And that was Tremont was one that I really, liked even when he was in 8th and 9th grade. I was a big fan of Tremont, and I just thought really highly of. So kind of what I'm seeing now is not too much of a surprise. I would say one I got wrong on, so it's one Brandon got right on, was Isaiah Stevens. I saw it a little too late. So he was another one. That same, it was that year out in Pasadena. He looked really, really good. But I was like, I think it's just good showing, really good high school player, Division I basketball player for sure. Didn't really know what level. Then, the guys were talking. I was just like, okay, I still got to see more. So when I really did see more, it was probably second half of his senior. Well, he was good his whole senior year, but I want to say about mid-December, I was like, oh, man, this kid's going to be really good. But that was one I just missed. I just late to the party on. I'd say he's having a hell of a season at Colorado State. He's like you said, in contention for player of the year. He's a kid that, I was a little late to the party on.
That whole 2019 class was loaded. Very loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded. Yeah. I don't know if I have one that I'll say that I missed on yet. I'll say that for later, but Isaac Likely was one that I believed in really early on. We were fortunate to sign him at Fresno when I was there before we took the job at UTEP, and then he opened up his recruitment again and went to Oklahoma State. But he's one that was definitely a special one, and I kind of saw that one in pretty early. And then Sloan, before we let you go, man, we'll toss it around one more time. Who is the person in the state now that maybe not necessarily is under the radar, but does you just think it's really their game is going to translate to the next level really well, or they either have already made a good decision, or do you just see them having a really good college career? We'll let everybody kind of toss that one around before we let Sloan get back to the Diddy life.
I got 2 kids. Damon Nichols at Duncanville, and C.J. Nolan at Waxahachie. Those two dudes, man, are like winners. And like, especially for CJ, when people look at CJ, they're like, oh, what is he? I always say he's a player. Like plain and simple, he's a player. CJ Nolan wins games. He's tough, and I think he picked the right situation at OU. And I think he's going to be a star at Sam Houston State. He's going to be a kid who can play right away early for them. He's a winner also. He does little things. He's skilled. I love both of those kids.
Yeah. So you go ahead, Brandon.
Well, I'll go with Sloan took 2 Dallas kids. I'll take a Houston kid. I think Ramon Walker is a perfect fit at Houston. I think that he'll buy into that culture. I think he's tough. One thing that's underrated about him is how he gets after the glass. He is a terrific offensive rebounder, and I think Coach Sampson will love that in him. And then he makes open shots, and I can always go for that. He has a great body. He's physically ready to compete in the AAC. I think it's just a perfect fit, and I think he can take tough coaching. So I like Ramon Walker to Houston.
Yeah, I really like, and I'll pick two. This is a Houston and a Dallas kid. So in Dallas, I do like Jalen Tyson at Texas Tech. I do think just the way he scores the ball. I just think he fits the scheme perfectly offensively for Coach Beard. I think defensively, he's more than capable of really holding his own. I know Beard is a real big defensive guy. I think he can definitely hold by just the way he scores the basketball with his size and just his feel on the offensive end. I think he'll have a good career at Tech. Going down to Houston, the kid that's not signed yet, but I just really like. I just think in college you see his real value is Jalen Gibson out of Legacy. Just a kid with good size, length, defends his ass off offensively, has an intriguing game, can handle, can thread the needle some. Sometimes he's a little loose with the basketball. Shots not bad, but just really competes and gets a lot done. He's a kid I just think collegiately, and because Legacy's so loaded, I don't think some people really can really see how good of a player he is and what he brings to the table. But I'm a big fan of Jalen Gibson out of Legacy.
Yeah, and then we'll add one more to this. What's one thing that, as you're doing this evaluation thing more and more, Ani, you kind of mentioned like seeing something later in a guy. Brandon, you kind of mentioned with Kendrick Davis, that winning ability you didn't maybe appreciate. And then Sloan, you talked about the two guys you just mentioned, how much they win, and Damon Nichols and CJ Nolan. So what's one kind of underrated translatable skill that goes into your evaluation process now that maybe is not just how high they jump, how fast they run, how well they, whatever it may be? Just kind of give us maybe one or two, and then, like I said, we'll let Sloan kind of get on to his.
For me, it's how kids compete. And, when I say compete, I don't just mean when things are going well. I mean how they compete when they're down 10, down 20, down 2, how they compete when they're up 10, up 2. I think a kid's competitive nature, how hard he shows he wants to win, shows he wants to play and compete, is a thing for me that's one of the most important things, if not the most important thing.
We'll say their love for the game, how big of a jump that they make in their games from year to year. I think all three of us, we all evaluate these kids from when they're in 8th and 9th grade, so where they're the senior year. So like the jump that they make from year to year is something that I really look at because it kind of gives me a fair estimation on if they really want to get better or not from when they hit the next level.
Right. And I agree with both of you guys. I think competing is a huge thing, just how hard they play on a possession by possession basis, like Sloan said. Up 20, down 20, up 10, down 10. And just progression, you like love for the game. I think you really are going to see a progression when you do love the game, when you do have a real, you're fan of this and you actually want to get better. I would say, honestly, another one that may not put like on a coach's report, but one that I really take a look at it, and that's just being coachability. I like sitting behind benches. I like just sitting across and just seeing, when a coach like David Martinez, when he rips that kid has eye contact, like yada yada yada. Because when y'all been to Division I practice, Sloan, you're a Division I basketball player. We played. as level. I mean, your coach is going to rip you, and seeing how a kid can kind of respond to that, and then go on the court and do what coach says and amp up his game. I mean, that just goes a long way as far as just translatability.
Sloan, we got we appreciate you coming on. We'll let you have any final words before you go. We know you'll be back. Let us know about your event you have coming up, and then any final words you got, and then we'll let you go.
Thank you guys, of course, for having me. We have another event this Friday, Saturday, Academy, MLK Classic. We got 2 games each day. The first day we have Create Academy. They're going to play Create Academy is playing Prepare Academy. Excuse me, Ani Team TACA Storm. They're going to play Prepare Academy, and Create Academy we're playing Level Up, and then we have Legacy, Lancaster. We have Faith and Family Level Ups. 2 games each day. Excited about the opportunity coming back to Dallas. I'm sorry. Spring Creek is playing Create Academy on Friday, and TACA Taka Storm is going to play on Friday, and then Saturday we have our 4 o'clock game is Legacy versus Dallas Kimball, and then 5 o'clock game is Level Up versus Faith. So excited for both of those 2. Excited about coming back to the place.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I'll definitely be there. Hopefully, go undefeated this week, and yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Appreciate you again, Sloan, as always, man. Nothing but love. Keep up the great work, and we'll see you back here soon.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, Sloan, don't come back. When you come back, we're gonna bring you back on. I need that fly. I need that fly stuff.
Hey, okay, man. You want me to get fly at 10 o'clock?
yeah, you got to, man.
Hey, next time we may have to take a trip through your closet, like
okay,
just
problem.
Go through your closet. Just show us a couple things. Show us a couple things.
I got you. No problem, for sure. We can do that.
Appreciate it, Sloan.
Right. Appreciate it, Sloan.
Marcus Sloan there, man. One of the best. Always love having the Diddy of grassroots basketball. So, Jen, you got a new position, 247 Sports, finishing your school at University of Texas. Talk a little bit about your journey to 247 Sports, how that whole thing came about, how you got into scouting, before we kind of talk about what you do.
Definitely. So, I mean, this whole scouting thing for me started when I was in high school. During my junior and senior year, when I was supposed to be paying attention to the teachers, I'll be in my little notebook just drafting about stuff about current high school basketball players. And I always found that even while I was playing in high school or playing in JUCO, I always found myself at high school games watching the games because I loved watching about the top players that were going to Division I, then playing the game myself. And so I realized that like I had an obsession for it, just memorizing all the top dudes in the state and sometimes even in the country. And, one day my mom got on me saying that I'm just a waste of talent. And so it kind of prompted me and motivated me to DM everybody in Texas grassroots basketball as far as media wise. And Paul Miranda answered my DMs in April of 2017. I got to working for him, just doing a lot of Twitter-based work just to get my name out there. And he did a great job of me building relationships with different dudes in the industry. Worked there from April to around November. And then November, I started doing some contributing work for Texas Top 100 just to get some article experience. Stayed there for about a month. And then in the start of January 2018, that's when my uncle developed a website, and that's where the Texas 5 Stars brand came in. Did some work over there, just trying to learn how to, gain some skill in WordPress. Stayed there from January to June. And when I realized I wasn't too good at the, developing websites thing, I started to DM a bunch of companies and see if I could do some database entry work. Just to see if I can work my way into a job. So I DM'd the people from ESPN, Rivals, and 247, but ended up coming across a worker for Prep Hoops. And so I saw their platform, saw that they didn't have a site for Texas. And I want to, it would be a good opportunity for me to bring more exposure to Texas kids while also giving me a platform for me to like kind of run my own thing, do my own rankings, type my own articles. It kind of gave me a platform to rock. And so I stayed from Prep Hoops from about September of 2018 all the way to August of 2019. I ended up having to leave because I did the practice player walk-on experience for the University of Texas men's basketball team. Stayed there for about 8 months. Left when Corona hit and started focusing on my scouting service, getting back with the Texas 5-Star site and branching on with Texas Recruiting Report, which is my current scouting service. And then I was fortunate enough this summer for a coach to recommend me for a job as our national director of recruiting. Evan Daniels left to take a job with the agency called CAA, which freed up 2 open spots for 247. He recommended me for the job, went through an interview process that took about a month and a half, and then was fortunate enough to get the job August 13th of 2020. So that's kind of the story to sum it all up.
Yeah, great story, man. Love it. Tell us, so when you say DM, so obviously we know this day and age is all about the digital media. We're on that as we speak, that platform right now. But so how does that process go about? You just send a message on DM? Is it formal like an email? Or you just kind of say, hey, what's up? I'm Brandon. I'm looking to do something. How did that part come about?
Definitely. So it was kind of hard for me to get in contact with the dudes that I wanted to get in contact with because they would have their DM closed or whatnot. So, I would be DMing the people that they follow to get them in contact with me. So it would be the same little mock message like, hi, I'm Brandon Jenkins. I'm contacting you to get in contact with Paul Biancardi or Brian Snow or whoever. And just, can you let them know my name? And then they'll get me in contact with them after like a month or 2 months. And then that's how I would build that relationship with the national guys. But throughout that process,
it sounds like it was a recruiting process almost. You were doing some recruiting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just wanted to get in that bad. And so, I'm always a big proponent. If you love something, be relentless in your grind, because I think something will come out of it and people will notice your drive.
No doubt. I appreciate that passion and have respect for it. I got a chance to see before when you were with Paul. So shout out to Paul Miranda, who we've invited to have on the show. We haven't been able to get him down yet because he works during the day, so a little harder for him to jump on. But definitely going to do some stuff with Paul. Paul's always been great to me, and shout out to his son, who plays, I believe, is a senior now at Dallas Baptist, Jules Miranda.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Solo product. So, yeah, Paul's been great. He kind of jumped back into the game, and that's kind of where I met you, working with him, and then just to see you kind of progressively climb the way has been an awesome thing, and definitely everything you're getting, you deserve. Talk a little bit about 247 Sports. Talk a little bit about E. Bossy, the man behind the plan that everybody knows and loves, one of the best in the business. And then at the end, just add kind of your end career aspirations before we get back to talking about Texas hoops.
Definitely. I think the biggest thing with 247, the biggest difference between me evaluating for prep hoops or working by myself covering Texas and 247 is basically the people that I market to. When I was working by myself, I would cover every guy from a Division I high major level talent all the way to a D3 level talent. If you could play, basically you're getting a write-up from me because I felt like you deserved to get a chance to play after college. And I still feel that way today. But working for 247, my job requires me to market to the fans of different schools, The fans subscribe to 247 sub-sites. So, for example, you have your Kentucky 247, the Blue Devils 247 with Duke, Oklahoma State 247. So our job is to work for the fans. So basically the players that are getting recruited by those schools, it's my job to market their games, market what they're doing, market their thoughts on their recruitment to those fans, just to make sure that the fans are getting the intel that they deserve. Basically working with 247 has been just a true blessing. But I think something that I didn't even expect that happened in October is obviously when Eric Bossy got hired. Eric has served as a mentor to me since the fall of 2017 when I met him at the Thanksgiving Hoop Fest. And he's just been great, giving me tips on how to get to where I am today. He's also been just a big advocate for me to get into the business. Working for him has been just tremendous because he gives me a different outlook on things. He's been in the industry for 10 years. So he gives me just the perfect mentorship and knowledge that I need to know just to succeed in this industry. And I just look forward to working for him down the road because he just makes me better. I learn more every day working with him, and he gives me everything that I need to know just to be successful in the industry. So, and he's fun to be around. That's that's the biggest thing. He's definitely fun to be around and fun to talk to.
And one of those guys who not only knows his craft at a high level, but has a great sense of humor. Is just a great person, and you're definitely gonna have a good time talking about whatever topic it may be, whether it's basketball or something in life with Bossy. One of the most respected guys out there, and like I said, just a big time dude. A girl dad too, so we relate a lot in that. First time I met Bossy, he was just a tremendous dude. I think I Wichita Falls. Matter of fact, at that event that they have every year,
Elite 14.
Yeah, Elite 14. I met him at Elite 14, and Sean Forrest had kind of got us linked up, and from then on, man, we've been great ever since. So, love Bossy, and he was one of the ones that also was on Isaac pretty well as far as his evaluation of him, and just does a good job covering the state. So, last thing we'll say, what's kind of your career aspirations in this whole thing, and what do you hope to get to? Some of the guys that have caused that trickle effect where you are have gone to the NBA. I know that's some guys' aspiration, but everybody has a different one. What's kind of your in-game aspiration?
Definitely. I think I see all the people in the industry look at the NBA jobs and see dudes like Josh Gershon, who's going to the Timberwolves, Corey Evans, who's going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Those guys take those jobs and thrive in those roles and stuff like that, and expect the same out of me as I grow in the business. But for right now, I think my biggest goal is just making sure I'm the best that I can be in the industry, making sure that I can break as much news as possible, build the relationships that I need, and also serve as a mentorship to these kids. I think I just want to just stay in this field because it's ever changing and it's always interesting to me. It's fun just meeting new people, building relationships with coaches, building relationships with kids. So I'm cherishing this right now, and I can see myself doing this for as long as God tells me I'm supposed to be doing this. So
right. Now we'll get to the stuff.
Brandon.
Stuff.
What's good?
Brandon, what's up? Hey, let me tell you, when you first started and you had them damn flip flops on. Hey, Brandon wardrobe, University of Texas shirt. I respect the wholeheartedly. So shorts, so tall black socks, and some flip flops. You came a long way. I remember we were at the
saw that flip flop game too back in the day. I think I saw that in the basketball shorts. Oh yeah.
Oh man, I mean, he was committed to it too.
I think the problem was, and what I didn't get is I was doing it during live period events where
yes, you were. Yes.
I didn't get the memo, but Ani sat me down. Ani and Eric Bossy sat me down and gave me a great talking to. So I'm kind of getting off the flip flop game, even though I miss it dearly. It was a very comfortable look. But,
I bet you did miss it. I bet he wearing flip flops right now.
He's wearing them.
He wearing them. I know he wearing them. Yeah, we were at the Colony, and we and Brandon, we just talk, and whatever. And I said, hey, Brandon, let me. I gotta tell you something. I'm just, I'm not gonna just stand here and just keep watching. I said, man, you gotta stop wearing them damn flip flops. He looked at me and said, where did that come from? Because we were talking about something like
talking about Scobie.
Nothing. We were talking about Byron Scobie. That was McKinney, right?
Yeah, we're watching
one of the most entertaining players in high school basketball I've seen in the past 3 or 4 years. One of the most entertaining in Texas high school basketball I've seen. I mean, I've seen the kid score 50 points and make step back threes over 2 people. That was fun to watch. It was definitely paid money to watch that. Byron Scobie. I don't know where he's in college, but I mean, I'm telling you, I seen games where he was scoring 45, 50 points, and it was one of the most entertaining games I've seen in a long time.
It was just
I probably caught about
it was the way he
shooting like from the half court, pull, step back threes, everything. But we were watching him, and I was just like, man, I gotta tell Brandon this. I said, Brandon, man, I can't just keep watching you. And I was like, man, you got to stop wearing damn flip-flops. And he just looked at me. He's like, where did that come from? And I'm just like, man, you've been on my mind for a minute. So, one thing about Brandon. You said what?
The open-toe flip-flops, if I'm not mistaken, too, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, with no Crocs or nothing.
No, definitely. I knew he was serious. I just saw the look in his eye. I was like, okay, he's been feeling like this way for a minute. And he gave me some great advice that day. He was like, when I first started working under Branch, he told me just watch the way that you dress and also make sure that your hair is intact. I was rocking some long twists at the time. And so, that's when I realized, okay, like I need to carry myself in a certain light. He definitely that advice is.
And you do a really good job just listening, because for some people that don't know, when I started, I weren't rocking a mohawk. I would wear some dirty jeans, the shoes. I don't know, would take care of the shoes, and the shirt may have a little ketchup stain on it. I mean, it was rough. it was rough. So I get it. It wasn't like I was coming from someone that could relate to where you at that point, because I wouldn't present myself at the best. So I mean, you listen, you came a long way. I'm proud that you got the position at 24/7. You just keep growing from there. But I have a question. So let's.
We got a quick comment. We got a quick comment. Stacey Houston giving you your flowers.
I appreciate that, Stacey. Stacey's one of the good dudes. I love him.
Bright young man. And then Ani, he giving you a little flowers in there too. Successful people listen to successful people. So he's calling you successful, Ani. That's not bad.
I'm just working at it.
All right, I'll let you guys have it.
So, hey, Brandon, I have a question. So let's talk college hoops. Texas, I have two questions. Who are your 3 favorite players to watch? We can go 5. Let's go 5. 5 favorite. Yeah, 5 favorite players to watch that are from Texas that are playing college basketball right now.
That are from Texas that are playing college basketball.
Well, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I usually like to do orders with these things, but I can't think of orders on the fly, so I'll just give you 5 random ones. I'll start off with Marcus Garrett for Kansas. I really love the way that he locks up, but I think the thing that stands out to me is he's so much quicker. His first step is way quicker than it was when he was at Skyline. At Skyline, he was just playing with pace. He wasn't really blowing by anybody. He was just seeking things out and playing with a lot of feel and IQ, and he always could lock up. I think the thing that I like about him at Kansas is his first step is tremendously quicker, and he still can lock up any dude in the country. Bill Self has also said that he's like the best defender that he's ever coached. So Marcus Garrett is definitely one of the players that I love watching. I guess another player that I love watching would be Micah Peavy at Texas Tech, just because I've seen his growth since he was a freshman and sophomore at Spring Decaney to where he is now. And I love the role that he's playing, earning his minutes, being a play hard type of dude who's crashing the glass and always being, reliable defensively. He's very coachable. He has some IQ there because he's a coach's son playing for David Peavy at Duncanville and Decaney. So I definitely like watching him play, and I'm definitely interested in seeing his growth from year to year. Another player that I like watching has to be Marcus Sasser. I enjoy watching Marcus just because I see the way he was able to get to his spots in the high school game. And now that it's translated to college, and now that he's figured it out, and now that he's confident when he gets in his zone, I mean, it's just a sight to see. I love the way that he can get to his pull-up on all 3 levels. And then I love the way how he takes the rim. I always thought of him as a great finisher. And then I love the way that he competes defensively. I mean, like, he chose the right school with Houston, and I love to see that they're doing well and that he's playing for one of the better teams in the country, and he's still able to get his game off. So Marcus Sasser is definitely another one that I like watching from the Texas area. Another person that I love watching is Isaiah Stevens. Just his ability to shoot the basketball and lead a team and do everything that a point guard is supposed to do. It's a sight to see. He's rebounding the ball at a high level. He's making the right plays at a high level, and he's making open shots. He's shooting it at a 45% clip, like I said earlier. So Isaiah Stevens is definitely a player that I love watching. And then I guess the last player that I would select, I would say RJ Nembhard, just because, I love the way that just the story behind it. He redshirted 1 year, and then he's coming off the bench another, and then he's the starting point guard. And now he's like the leading scorer. I love how he basically Desmond Bane left and he picked up right where he left off. He's scoring the ball at a efficient rate, and he's doing everything that he needs to do just to get TCU in a position to win games. Obviously it's stepping stones, him not being the primary scorer to him being the primary scorer, and he's figuring a lot of things out on the fly. But I love that the confidence that he's playing with, and I love his growth as a leader for that TCU Horned Frogs men's basketball program.
It's a good 5 right there, B. It's a good 5 right there. I like that. I will jump in real quick and say my one that I didn't miss on him because I didn't recruit him, but I didn't think that Jalen Wilson would be as good as he is as fast at Kansas. I did not expect that. So I had to at least throw one so I could say I can be like you guys and say I miss on some too, of course, but wasn't expecting that one. And then RJ, I'll kind of go on with that too. I didn't know. It makes sense it's taking the time that it has. I didn't think his game translated as quickly, but credit to him, his character, and his work ethic, because he really has put himself in a position to be one of the best players on that team, if not the best guard on that team. And really, like you said, has picked up where Desmond Bane has left off. And that's not an easy thing to do when you play from a smaller role. And then now all of a sudden you step into that big role. But he had some moments last year where he showed some flashes, but he's definitely been impressive too. So, Ani, what's your 5, man?
First off, I'm gonna go Drew Timme out of Gonzaga.
I thought B was gonna say that.
And now he's rocking the stash. I love it. I kind of love his personality. I love his game. Obviously, just a skilled big that's getting a lot done, facing up, back to basket. Getting double doubles, rebounding, just hella feel for the game. Drew Timme, it's like it's a personality. I like the personality. I like his game. I just love how productive he is, and he's really turned himself into an NBA prospect. Another one, you talked on it, Marcus Sasser. I like how he's just really scoring the basketball. He's defending. He's a perfect fit for Coach Sampson. Just a tough, hard-nosed guard that gets a lot done. I mean, he's been the guy, been one of the guys for Houston and them being a top 10 team in the country. At one point, they were top 5 in the country. So Marcus Sasser, really, really been impressed with. Mike Miles at a TCU. And I think we all saw it, even last year seeing TCU play, and you knew they didn't have that lead guard last year that could kind of play make and things along the lines. And Mike Miles has been really good for TCU. He's now up in the top and as far as game planning for other teams, other schools against them. So, and he's still being productive. So Mike Miles for sure on that list. We're going to stick with TCU. I like Kevin Samuels. I kind of like his story as well. Just, kid out of Haiti. I remember seeing him in high school. He was good. I mean, he just came a long way. I think he had a red shirt the first year. He's a kid, I believe, had a red shirt the first year. Now he's coming in. I mean, he's probably shooting them like above 60% clip from the field, blocking shots, rebounding. I think he's TCU's all-time leading shot blocker, if I'm correct.
I think so.
Just had a fantastic career at TCU. One kid I do like watching, and I think I enjoy him watching him now in college than in high school. And he was kind of doing the same things in high school. Is Kendrick Davis at SMU. Really breaking down his man, getting the spots. Kendrick, just a kid that just gets a lot done. Not only can he score it, he can really facilitate and defensively, he'll get after it, and that's just a product of being kid at Sam Houston and just growing up and just been a tough, gritty kid. I really enjoy watching him play. I know that's fire right there, but I like Jalen Wilson, like Burns said. I mean, just a kid that had made some serious strides, hitting shots with his size, and he's competing on defensive end, and his overall feel and IQ has gotten better. And in high school, he was always a very productive player. I mean, he would get hurt, but just overall, just been a productive kid. Ever since I've known the kid since 8th grade, and just really happy to kind of see him grow. And now he's really getting some first round draft potential buzz too. So those guys I really enjoy. To me, it's good watching the kid because you see them and you know their story and stuff. And there's kind of a little bit, you could say more for like maybe a personal connection, just, maybe some relatability and just the fact that, they came from something and now you're seeing them really produce. Even Mike Miles has. So, it's just, those are guys that I really enjoy watching.
Yeah, a couple others just to throw them out there. I won't give my 5. I'll just throw some others out there. Cade Cunningham's
Brian,
not
you got to
bad.
get 3.
Cade Cunningham's not bad. I'm just saying. He ain't bad.
He's not. He's okay.
He's pretty solid. Throw his name out there. Xavier Wheeler, I'm biased towards him. I think we gave him his first offer when he was in junior high, just knowing his dad and just seeing the kid. I said, I don't know where my logo is going to be right now by the time you're coming out, but I'm offering you right now because you got the it factor. I never forget it. And so I gotta give shout out to him. I had another one that was kind of off the grid for you guys. I'm drawing a blank on the last one, but
I got one.
What you got?
And I missed Shahada Wells, UTA.
There you go.
He's originally from Houston, right? So he did 2 years at TJC. Then he, he's at UTA, and he's been their best offensive, player, just as far as scoring. I mean, Shahada's fun to watch. He was fun to watch in TJC. Every time I go to Tyler, because that's where I'm from, and go to a practice or just watch him play. I mean, he just put on the show, and even with UTA, he's been really fun to basketball. He's facilitating some too, but I just like a guard at his size that can score it, tough, fast, athletic, and he gets a lot done. And UTA, I know he helped lead them go 2-0 against Louisiana Monroe this past weekend, so for sure.
Yeah, I'll give a couple more shout outs. The kid, what's big fella's name? I'm drawing a blank. Big fella at ORU, played for Marlon Lowe. Just had a monster like 39.
Banner.
Oh yeah, he's really good.
Banner's one that I knew was really good, and I wanted to recruit him. We didn't. I don't think we had a position at the time. We should have made one, but I just thought like that dude's game translates. Everything about his grit, his toughness, his ability to score and never have to have a play drawn for him. I think he's definitely one to give shout out to. Max, who's on the same team. We've talked about him being one of the better shooters in the country as well. And then got to give the Brian product some love over at Sam Houston State. Might be the best player in that conference. And Zach Nuttall, another guy who played for Marlon Lowe as well, who just kind of flew under the radar. Very similar to like a Nigel Pearson who played for him, who was a really good 4-year player. He might be the best player in that conference and a really good player there too for Sam Houston State. So got to give some love to some of those guys, man. I know Ani's got about a 5-minute clock till he got to put on his coaching hat. So I'll let him take over real quick and shut things down a little bit, and I'll come back in at the end with Brandon.
Okay. Well, Brandon, again, appreciate you coming on. Definitely me and you have had a lot of conversations. Most times we disagree, which I enjoy. I don't like I don't like someone that always agree with me because I know I'll be wrong. So it's always good to have different opinions. Definitely happy at how you really come along in the business. And, one thing that I would say Alan Branch told me, and it stays, this was 4.5 years ago, and that stays true. And I just kind of want to share with you is, you got 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. The more seeing and hearing you do, and the less talking you do, the better, the more knowledge you'll gain, and the better, you'll be able to get into the doors you want to get into. So that was something that Branch told me. I always just want to share with you, but really happy at how far along you came. And I learned from you on some aspects as well again, appreciate you having on the show. We're going to have more arguments, more petty arguments. Definitely still don't agree with Justin Timberlake being better than Michael Jackson.
He's the real king of pop. Who is the real king of pop?
I don't know.
Hold on, before we go, let me get this straight. So Brandon saying that Justin Timberlake is better than Michael Jackson?
Yes.
You know, some
Yes.
people, there's just levels to it. You know, and Michael Jackson set the standard really, really, really high. But Justin Timberlake met him and kind of passed him. Kind of passed him. It's just too many hits. You know, no, I'll rock with JT, but Michael is cool. Michael's cool. But Justin Timberlake.
Hey, Berg, you see why me and Brandon argue?
What'd you say?
You see why me and Brandon argue?
I do see why you argue. I mean, that alone, that would make you cause an argument right there. That right there.
Yeah.
Definitely. You got to dissect this music game, man. If you dissect it, you'll see the vision. You'll see my vision.
Michael Jackson, though, man, King of Pop. He's the King of Pop for a reason. I don't know about the Justin. I like JT a lot. That might be a stretch. That is a stretch.
It is a stretch.
Yeah, Brandon.
Y'all.
Any last words you got? We'll go ahead and shut it down with Ani together. Any last words you got? I'm sure we'll have you back. Stacy does ask if you are going to DC, or one of the guests asks, are you going to DC? I'm assuming he's talking about recruiting. And then
yeah, so they're having a National Hoop Fest in Washington D.C. I'm probably not going to be able to make that trip, but my coworkers, Deshaun London, and then my boss Eric Bossi will definitely be in attendance. So that'll be a high level.
When is that? Is that the end of January?
It's this weekend. I think Oak Hill is playing high school. There's a lot of high level matchups that include like Montverde, Sunrise Christian, all the top prep schools in the country.
Then I was also another comment came in and said, Brandon, don't ever repeat that again. I think he's talking about the Justin Timberlake comment. You're outvoted on this one, 3-1. You're outvoted. So last thing before you go, we'll let you say your last words, Brandon, at the end. But what's one thing from each of you guys that's harder than what people think about what you guys do? Like what's an underrated, like people don't really know like how hard it is, whether it's to evaluate, whether it's to keep up with all that's going on, whether it's to manage the phone calls coming in, whatever it is. What's one of the underrated aspects that's really challenging that you guys do?
Brandon,
either one guy can go first. Either guy.
I think Ani can relate to this because he was a journalism major when he attended college. I think the thing that's the hardest for me is when we're covering an event, especially a weekend event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, and you know that you have to get content out there by the next morning. And so you find yourself being in the gym from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then sometimes you're going out to connect with different coaches or different media members, and you don't find yourself getting home till 1 a.m. and you have to bust out probably like a 750 to 900 word article just to make sure that your audience is updated on what is going on and that you're giving the best product to the people that follow you. So I think that's the hardest part, just those late night article grinds. Outside of that, I mean, I think everything is just smooth flowing and everything is just perfect just because love the game. If you really love the game, then nothing else seems like work.
I would definitely agree. That's the hardest part, especially events or just even games or anything. Especially when, like, if I'm hosting an event, right? So you're organizing an event, you get the players, everything. You make sure games are run on time, this, that, and the third, and then you got to stay up. You're the last one out of the gym, and then you have to come back, and then you have to write a recap or write an article. So you're going to be up late, and then waking up the next morning and just kind of getting after that. I definitely think is the hard part. I would say you could say this is 1A or 1B. The next one to me is just, getting on the scene. Everybody, obviously, you're not going to please everybody. And there's so much talent in the state, especially, me covering more regionally and nationally, you're not going to see everybody, And so they say, oh, you talk about the same kids. Y'all talk about the same kids. This, that, and the third. It's just like, it's a whole lot of kids to go cover. And I don't think anyone really necessarily tries to go cover the same kids. You go where the best best matchups are. And people understand we watch a whole lot of basketball, a whole lot of kids. So sometimes we're not going to write about a kid that may have had a pretty good game. Doesn't mean we have a personal problem. And I think that's just that's just one of the things that I guess is the hardest part, you would say, is just you're not going to go see everybody multiple times. You may miss on a decent amount of kids to go see during the high school season because there's so many high school games. And for people to just understand, we're going to go watch them. If it maybe it's not in the school year, it's probably going to be in the summer or the spring. But at some point, we're going to go watch them. We're going to do our due diligence to watch a kid that can play. And we're going to go watch them play. So I would say really those are 1A and 1B.
Great stuff, fellas. Great show. Brandon, we'll let you have any closing words, and appreciate you coming, man. Looking forward to continuing to follow your success. We're behind you, even though you did start out the game with the open-toe sandals. Nobody's holding that against you. We're glad you started from there, and now you're here, but we'll let you have your closing words, and then we'll shut down the show.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Coach B, you, Arnie, for allowing me on this show. To our audience members, if you ever see me in the gym, never hesitate to just say hi to me. Very approachable. Ask me any questions that you want. I appreciate being on here and being able to speak about what I do. And best of luck to you both as this show continues to blow up, continues on a great path of trajectory.
Yeah, appreciate that, Arnie. You got any more jokes before you leave? I know you're in your bag right now.
No more jokes. Coach's hat on.
Coach's hat on. Well, be safe, everybody.
Yeah. Down the line, go to some suicides. Let's go.
Hey, let's talk about the acquisition. You subtly let that come up in the show, but I mean, we had Lupe on. Lupe told you his plan. Now all of a sudden, Lupe's son playing for you. Like you snuck it in.
Well, I mean, it's how.
Hey, levels. That's all we gotta say is levels. Shout out to Austin and the rest of the squad for putting up with Ani. But shout out to Austin for really good player. He had a tough stretch. He didn't know where he was going to play for a minute, but he's found a home and doing great things. And he's definitely one of the players in the class that I think is going to translate to the next level because his ability to make plays with the ball, make other people better, and make shots. If only his new coach could get out of his way, I think he's definitely on his way.
Look, one thing Austin ain't had a problem with rocking out.
Had that problem. I had him at Lucas for a little bit. I was like, yo, this kid, he got it. He ain't never afraid to rock out. Great show, fellas. Enjoy it, be safe, and every Wednesday you can catch us All Access Network, same place, YouTube channel, Facebook. We're gonna get Ani's Facebook hooked up soon, so his followers can also get plugged in. Ani's he's a man of many talents, so we're gonna get that hat on too. But no, we look forward to it again. And thanks so much, Brandon. Thanks for Marcus Sloan, and keep up the great work. Stay safe, everybody, and wear your mask and tell your loved ones you love them. We out.
Absolutely.